Evening all. Good evening, everybody. Hope everybody's keeping well. Welcome back to Beyond the Lane, episode 11. We have two fantastic guests on tonight. Guys, do you want to say hello?
No.
How you doing? Good evening. I'll say it. Good evening. Good evening. How you doing, guys? You all right? Big up everyone in the chat.
Big up, Iggy.
Yeah, big up. Hello, thank you for having me, and everybody, please subscribe and like to these two guys. They're working their way through the quarry that is YouTube, and as I just said on my show, Iggy and I, we would have been there. We know what it's like to get that first 1,000. It takes time, so please help each other out and smash the subscribe button.
Thank you, Savva. Nigel, how are you, buddy? How are you?
No, that intro's done. I was panicking. Having to put two intros on at the same time. There's a lot of pressure there, mate.
You good, yeah? I know you had a busy day, so hopefully you can relax.
Yeah, it's been manic.
Right,
Yeah,
big up to everybody
so,
in the
looking
chat.
forward to this.
Big up to everyone in the chat. Big up everyone watching at home. Please get involved with your comments, and we'll try and read out as many as possible. Got quite a packed show, yeah. So we'll see how we get on. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe to all of us. Myself, Nige, Pure Coys, Savva, Football Heritage TV, and Iggy, Tottenham Away. That'd be much appreciated. Thank you so much. And we'll be putting the links in the chat throughout the show as well. So, tonight's show, what we're going to be covering, I'm sure you're all interested to find out. So, look, we'll be discussing that uninspiring Fulham result. We'll be looking ahead to the Bournemouth and the Chelsea games. And for me, Ange is under massive pressure. I know many fans have different opinions on Ange, the squad, the team, etc. I like to call it the blame game. For me, Ange is not helping this team, and he's not getting the most out of them at the moment. And I think we should be doing a hell of a lot better. We'll be getting into it throughout the show. I'm hearing all sorts of excuses, and we'll be breaking it all down tonight. If there is time, we'll be having a look at the Premier League table, look at the teams around us, and just get a bigger picture of the season so far. So look, guys, let's get into it. Now, Iggy, I have a question for you. On the first video, after you watched it, you saw all the games as a collective. Not every game was there, but majority of them were, like the Premier League games, a couple of the Europa games, and the Man City game. After you saw that video, how do you think our season has gone so far?
It's just, I was just saying off stream, weren't we? I said that we haven't been able to shake off that word inconsistency. We haven't. It's just, and I think that's pretty much been, for me, it's been the story of our season so far. And I said in the last stream I did prior to or it might have been just before the Man City game. I said, look, or it might have been just after Man City. There's been so many streams, guys, so it's hard to keep track. But after we beat Man City, I said, you know what? If there's ever a time, because a lot of it was said, in how we played. Yeah, I'm the happy clapper. How we played, and if Ange had learned, after the way he tactically displayed our team against Man City, if perhaps he had tweaked his ways, not necessarily changed his own ethos, but if he had tweaked stuff, and we discussed it that very night. I think it was the night after the Man City game, and we said, look, we won't know the truth until 2-3 games down the line, if indeed that's tweaked, or whether it was a circumstantial for the match against Man City, that we just happened to be pinned and play that way that we had to play against Man City. And then we saw against, obviously, Fulham on the weekend that we just kind of reverted back to the way it was prior to the Man City game. And you're right, Dan, when you say about Ange has his faults as well. He has, because I think, he should have grabbed that Man City game with the things that worked with both hands, even if the things necessarily that he doesn't necessarily see. Like, for example, the inverted wingers, fullbacks rather. He played on the outside against Man City and stuff like that, and leaving Maddison with all that freedom in the middle of the park to really play his game. There was no continuation seen from that into the Fulham game, and that for me, that was really frustrating to see. So to answer your question though, Dan, it's inconsistency. We can't shake it, man. We just can't seem to shake it. You see, you go to Villas, and then you go to the Palaces, and then you go to the Man Cities, and then now, we had the Ipswiches in between. Now we've got this game here, although it wasn't a defeat, but it feels like a defeat because it's come on, off the back of a really good win against Man City. So yeah, I just want us to have a little bit of continuity, in the way that we, not just in playing, but also in the results. And but it's been the story of our season so far. Can it change? Yeah, sure. There's plenty of the season still left to play, and still things can be changed. But it's hard to see when it's going to happen for us in that when exactly, what game is it going to be? What run of games is going to be? The run up to here now between the New Year's, is it going to happen now? Will we have to wait to 2025? I know I'm being very elaborative in the answer, but
We'll get into it.
These are all the things that are going through my head.
Yeah, we'll hopefully we'll get through as much as we can. Thank you, Iggy, for that. Look, there's a mixed bag of results there when you look at it all. We've had some fantastic wins, but we've also had some shocking defeats. Savva, when you see it like that, when it's kind of thrown at you in a minute, what do you think?
Yeah, look, I don't disagree with Iggy. I feel like, listen, I've never known a manager get so much praise for not really doing anything special. I feel like this manager gets a lot of praise because when we win games, we look good. But the number of games we're not winning in the last year has been huge. It's been absolutely huge, the number of games we've not won in the last year. Look, there's good bits about Spurs. There's bad bits about Spurs. But again, my biggest crux with this manager has always been that nothing changes. And Iggy made a great point there. We all sat there after the Man City game and said, right, has he learned? Is this the blueprint? Is this? And then the 2 games immediately after, he reverts back to type. And how do all of the goals come from Roma and from Fulham? It's from getting in behind, the 2 inverted wing backs, leaving massive gaps, teams exploiting it. So, look, it's not all doom and gloom, but I genuinely think that there hasn't really been any improvement since he joined. Since he joined. Yes, people will go, well, he joined, we were a mess, we were 8th. It's a bit of a false narrative, that, because listen, whilst I wasn't Conte's biggest fan, when Conte left, we were in 4th. Yeah, then you had Stellini and Mason between them for like 15 odd games, and it completely collapsed. So was he picking up a club that were 8th best in the league? I don't really think he was, but he did a decent job last year in getting us 5th. But for me, I just don't, I don't know. I don't buy into it. I don't buy into it at all. I don't think that should surprise anyone on this panel. I don't buy into him in any way, shape or form. I don't look at him and go, you're the guy. You're the guy that's going to, you're the guy that's going to take my club to glory. I don't. Sorry.
The question begs, though, I have to say, who is?
Okay, maybe glory is not the right thing, Iggy.
No. You have the right to want the glory, or at least challenge for it.
Yeah.
Who is, though? Who is? We've had them all, haven't we? We've had them all.
Sure, but I think this guy's got a better squad than we've had before. That's my issue with him.
Look, we'll get into it, guys. We'll be getting into that, definitely. It's a good point, Iggy, and thanks, Savva. Nige, what did you feel when you were watching that,
I'll be honest. Listen, we're all Tottenham fans. We all want Ange to do well. We all want to succeed and be successful. But first 10 games apart from last season, we have been so hit and miss. We cannot put a run of wins together. I was listening to the stream Savva was on earlier, and someone said, we'd won like 7 and 7. It was like 7 and 8 or 8 and 9 or whatever, which we had. But a lot of them were cup games against meaningless opposition. What I want to see now is some consistency where we win 4 or 5 games in a row. But I just don't see where we get our next win from. I'm looking at our games coming up and I'm like, that's going to be a tough game. that's going to be a tough game. The only one I can see us maybe winning is Southampton, if I'm honest.
No, look, it's for me. I'm not happy at the moment. I just think that Ange could do so much more in games, tactical changes. We all saw what happened against Fulham. We'll get into it shortly. Now, it's so frustrating at the moment, this win-loss. I know it was a draw at the weekend. Look, even if we could just build up 2-3 wins in a row, that would really push us up that table. And I think a lot of it, for me, is the frustration of watching Ange on that touchline. And we saw Silva on the weekend, how animated he was, how he was, getting his players going to get him through the game. And I like what I saw there. And when we look across at Ange, not a lot's going on. But look, we'll get into it. Moving on to the second video, Savva. Like when you saw that video, what was going through your head?
When I saw the second video, I don't know really. It was, what was it? Big Ange, and then it was what's his face from that TV show. Look, I don't know. For me, what I took from that is that Big Ange seems to be a bit of a character now, rather than a real respected Premier League manager that other clubs are looking at and going, "Oh, I'd love Ange." I feel like we're turning into a bit of a meme. Yeah. I feel like we're turning into a little bit of a here's his favorite hit. Do you know what I mean? You know, like at Christmas where you got their number one hits. You could have an Ange one with all of his favorite sayings. It's who we are, mate. I don't believe in this, mate. I don't want to defend, mate. And all. I feel like that's what I get from it. I don't know what you were aiming at, but that's when I look at it. I just again look and go, he grinds my gears. If I'm honest, he grinds my gears. That's what I got.
No, that's good. Yeah. It was kind of where I was going with it. It's just got a bit of a joke now. We're a laughing stock. You talk to any other rival fans, and I listen to other rival fans talk on YouTube and podcasts. And I mean, I was listening to something the other night, and they were discussing the result of the Fulham draw. And even the rival fans were saying, look, you just got to get rid of this guy. Really, he's not serious. How can you beat City 1 week so well and then lose to Ipswich, Palace, drop points at Fulham? It's just not good enough. And if the rival fans are saying it, you've got to hear it. It's not just our own fans that we all think. It's what other fans from other clubs are thinking too. Now, Iggy, I don't know, what's your current stance on Ange at the moment?
I've said from the get-go that I'll give Ange the season. I don't see the point of getting rid of him right this moment. You look at it, there's so many inconsistencies throughout the teams in the Premier League. If you look at the league standings, it does. I'm trying to rationalize. I'm trying not to get involved too emotionally in the thing with Ange Postecoglou. I look at it. Look, Man City, Brighton are 3 points away from us. Arsenal and Chelsea 5 points. So what I'm saying is we've been buff. If you look at, we epitomise the word inconsistency, but there has been in terms of what the other teams are doing. Even the ones above us, apart from Liverpool, who kind of like just taking the league by storm. Everyone else has been kind of thereabouts. We just got to get our results based. We it's this up and down at the moment that's making us be the way we are. But if we can get a level of consistency in results, back-to-back results, as long as if you look at the league standards where we are, in my opinion, this team is exactly where I expect it to be in the Europa Cup places. If you look at it in terms of the league standings, we are where we should be. Let's be honest. I don't think we're better than the ones that are above us.
But Iggy, we shouldn't be losing to likes of Ipswich, Palace.
I agree, but what's doing it, Dan?
Makes sense.
It's the defeats against Palace and Ipswich, but then we've gone and beaten Villa, we've gone and beaten Man City. That's why we're in the big. If we had lost like we thought we would against Villa and against Man City, and then Ipswich and then the Palaces, he'd be really under pressure. I think the team have responded when you least expect them to, and then they're disappointed when you thought they should have turned it around. And that's what it's the balance that's not there. And the manager has to take his rightly dues. We praise him, like as Savva said, we praise him when we win. He's got to take the critique when we don't get the results or we haven't played as well. The biggest thing for me is not even the results, Dan. It's the playing. It's the way we're playing. You
Yeah.
know, how can you play so well one match and then so disappointingly in the following one? It's not the fact that we drew against Fulham. It's the match that you saw in front of your eyes. You're thinking, is this really happening? Is this actually the disappointing performance at Palace? We didn't even turn up. At Ipswich, it was so disappointing. That's the thing. It's not the results per se, which can be deemed any which way you want. It's the performances that are not, you know, we were so for example, against Ipswich, we were so disjointed. I felt like we was watching a team who had just been put together against Ipswich and just gone out there and play. There was no links between any attacking play. Defensively, we was all over the shop. We had centre backs dragging out into the fullbacks positions, trying to cover for players who were out of position. And then against Man City, we had a lovely shape about us. We was playing good football. We had fullbacks going on the outside. Maddison was playing like a proper number 10 that this is the Maddison that we brought in, the proper number 10 that we needed. Kulu, and then the defense was nice and tight. They weren't so high up. They played to their strengths rather than to their weaknesses. And you think to yourself, how do we go from one game to another talking about this team in these two different ways? And it's been a constant, and that's what we need to sort out. But in terms of results and points, for me, we are where we should be in that area. And when, like I said, we're not a million miles ahead, behind. Sorry, than the teams in front of us currently.
I look, and it's just so frustrating for me because if we'd have got a couple of those wins against Palace, Ipswich, not dropping points at Leicester, we'd be right up there.
Champions League.
And I just can't understand it. Now, I think a lot of the time I look at all sorts of stuff, statistics, performances. I've prepared something tonight that we're going to run over. Will just kind of give us an insight because I need to look at it from all angles, not just from what I think and what you guys are saying tonight. But I've just thrown something together and I just want everybody's take on it. We'll get to it after we've reviewed the Fulham game. It just makes for some interesting reading. It's like we're so close but so far, if that kind of makes sense. Now, Nige, what's your
the new club motto, by the way?
What's that?
It's not order es for ser. It's we're so close, but we're so far. That's our motto. That's our motto.
Makes sense. Yeah, I like that. Nige, what's your thoughts on that, Ange, at the moment?
It's one of them, isn't it? And Iggy said it. We're in 7th place. We're close to 4th, but we're also really close to 13th. It's one of them. We win a couple, we're right up there. We lose a couple, we're in trouble. And I got a quick question for you, Dan. Actually, just to turn the tide a little bit.
Okay.
You said earlier about if we had won a couple of those games against Palace, say against Brighton or whatever, then we'd be right up there, which we would. But would it change your opinion of Ange? Because we're still play the same way. We're still totally open. We still give up 90 odd chances in the last 5 games. So, what do you think about that?
Well, at the end of the day, it's results, isn't it? Like we need the points. If we get the points, you can't argue as much. Yes, you can have your reservations about the manager, of course, but if we've got the points and we're up there and we're competing and we're getting, for me, it's just simple. Try and get 2-3 wins in a row or not lose. It's a draw's fine. I don't expect us to win every game. That's not realistic. But there's just the inconsistent performances, and it's also with Ange not adapting to certain teams. We all saw it at the weekend. He saw that our fullbacks were getting absolutely ruined, and he watched it all happen. He didn't change it, and things like that are just criminal. You've got to be honest. He saw it, didn't react, didn't adjust. Now, for me, look, I'll hold back a bit about the Fulham game. Let's get onto it in a minute. Look, let's just talk about the Fulham game. Savva, it's been a few days now. What's your thoughts on that Fulham match?
Was you going to say, have I calmed down? Is that where you were naturally going to go? I don't ever calm up or calm down.
No, I wasn't, Savva. Not you, myself.
Oh, good. Yeah, look, mate, it doesn't bother me anymore. And I know people go, oh, see, he's not a real fan. But listen, I've got the last 4 results spectacularly wrong for different reasons. Right? So when people go, what do you think the score's going to be? From now on, I'm just going to say 0-0 or 3-3. No, I would not. No, not under these circumstances. No. Look, I thought we'd beat Fulham 3-1. And the reason I thought we'd beat them 3-1 is I'm thinking to myself, right, well, we've lost to Ipswich at home. We've drawn with Roma at home. I'm thinking there's no way we go 3 home wins without a win, right? Because that's where Ange has had most of his success, has been home games. Plus, let's be fair, this Fulham team lost 4-1 to Wolves the weekend before. 4-1 to Wolves, by the way, who are bottom 2, bottom 3. Since then as well, they've lost Pereira, they've lost Joachim Anderson. So they're coming to Spurs, players out. We've got players out as well, but I'd like to think we've got better players. And I thought Silva got it spot on. I just thought, again, he's done exactly what I always say to Iggy and the boys over there. If I'm a manager playing against Spurs, all I'm doing all week in training is working on how to get in behind their fullbacks that play as central midfielders. And like Stel said, they overlapped, they underlapped, they literally took us to the cleaners on the flanks. And for the first half, Dan, like you just said, all right, first half, you go, Carl, boys, get in at half time. Hang on, let's address this. Right? Tell you what, you come back here, drop 10 yards. He doesn't. We just go out, same way again. And they came out the first 10 minutes of the second half. I know we scored after 10 minutes, but they were battering us, weren't they? They won every ball in midfield. And Iwobi turned into Lionel Messi. Robinson and Tete turned into Cafu and Roberto Carlos. They just got in behind us time and time again. And my overwhelming feeling for the whole thing, Dan, is like you said there, Ange, you are watching this the same as we are. Stop it. Change something. Bring on one of the centre. Bring on somebody to sit in front of Porro. Bring Jed Spence on. Say Jed Spence sit in front of Porro and double up on Iwobi and Robinson. But he doesn't. It's just the same thing over and over again. And then these fans that don't seem to care about results just go, love the way we play. It's really exciting. I don't think it's exciting. I think the word they're looking for is also 8 letters. Yeah. Also begins with an E, also ends in a G, and it's exposing. This style of football is exposing. And more teams are going to do this to us. Whether they've got the quality to beat us is a different matter, right? But Fulham, do you know what? Last thing I'll say, do you know in our last 5 games we've had is something like 91 or 93 attempts against us?
It's a lot. So much.
Nearly 100 attempts in 5 games. Like you can't play like that. That's not sustainable. So yeah, look, it didn't surprise me. And again, we get to the end of that and people start suddenly, everyone's injured. Hang on. Everyone knew the injuries before the game and was predicting 4-0 and 3-0s. Suddenly lose the game and, but we had a better team out there than Fulham. Let's be brutally honest. If I said to everyone in this chat now, however many there are, right? Would you want, they might say after the game at the weekend, but would you want Bassi and Diop at centre half? Would you want Bernd Leno? Would you want Sasa Lukic and Sander Berg in midfield? Would you want Iwobi? Everyone would say, nah, no good. They came to Spurs and made us look really, really average. So I'll shut up now and let you go to Iggy, but it didn't surprise me. It didn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, I agree, Savva. A lot of what you've said there. And then another thing as well, like we played against Fulham last season away, and Silva did the same thing. You would have thought Ange would have remembered that match and realised where they got us at in that game. But again, he just doesn't, does he? Doesn't adapt and frustrating. Sorry,
it's not who we are, mate. It's not who we are.
Who we are. Yeah.
And that saying's going to follow him around. Sean just said to me on my channel, he's going to live and die by this. That not who we are is going to be the reason why when he goes and people go, I don't get it, we sacked another manager. Well, it's who we are, mate. It's not. It's who you're trying to make us, and I don't want to be it. I don't want to be what he's trying to make us. So, I just don't care. I don't care about him. Yeah, Iggy for manager. Iggy for manager.
Iggy, what's your your thoughts on that game, and how did you see it?
Look, for me, listen, on the chances alone, I mean, they had some ridiculous amount of chances. They could have, in the end, they could have put us to bed. For me, though, the last sort of 15 minutes, or even if we was 1-0 up, you're thinking you can't get a second goal. If you can't get a second goal, just make sure that you don't concede, or certainly don't concede the volume of chances that we were conceding. Ben, the goalkeeper, Fraser Foster. How many saves did he have to make that game? I think he turned out to be one of our better players on the day.
Man
And I'm
of the match.
thinking, yeah, I know, at home, and our keeper's man of the match. It says quite a lot. They had numerous amount of chances to score, and we didn't really create as much, sadly to say. And then, but for me, a lot of it epitomised in the last sort of quarter of the game, where we have a massive opportunity with their sending off to really put it on them, really put it on them. And for me, when you look at what we did in the last 15 minutes against 10 men, the substitutions that we made in those minutes, we took our attacking players off, our creative players off. When you know you're gonna be playing against two backs of fours now, yeah, you got a team who really back to goal now, and you think to yourself, you're taking Madison off, and then you're putting a highly inexperienced players who have not even been playing in the league as much. And now is the time that you know what it is. Sometimes he makes the thing is that I find frustrating with Ange is, like, sometimes he gets it bang on, and a lot of the times it seems that it doesn't with the game management, but also in the changes that he makes. What did he do to try and win that game in that last 10 minutes? He got 10 minutes plus added on time, by the way. It took our creative players off, and he put these kids on, and just thinking, where's this goal going to come from? Where? And sadly, it wasn't the case. I just felt like I was a lost. And the thing is, again, it's a lost opportunity, and that's the frustrating thing. There was an opportunity there for to get us to go and nick the goal. Not only don't we nick a goal, we concede, and we even risked losing the game as well at some point. So listen,
Can I back onto that, if that's all right,
go on.
Dan?
Yeah, of course.
Do you know what? I think Iggy says it better than I can, but spot on. When that substitution happened, I said at the time, I'm doing my watch along. When they had the man sent off, Marco Silva calls all his players over, and he's going, I want you here, you there, you. But you two get subbed on. You're coming on, and they're all geeing each other up, giving each other high fives. The little pat on the bum that the footballers like to give each other, and they're all egging each other on. Spurs go, I'll tell you what we need. Let's take off the guy who's got the most goals and assists for us in the Premier League. We'll take him off, and we'll bring on one kid who, I don't even know what Gray is, but that's not the point of the show. We'll put on Gray. And we'll bring on Bergvall, who, let's be really honest, has looked really poor when he has played, right? Not poor, but you know what I mean? Just not ready. And you're thinking to yourself, with all the kids you've got on the bench, the one that you didn't bring on is the striker, right? Is the striker.
Yeah, throw him on.
You're thinking to yourself, what are you doing? So you are okay to, Eze's going to score here. No, he's not. You're thinking to yourself, you played him against Galatasaray, but you can't chuck him on for 10 minutes when you need a goal. And then for the last 10 minutes plus injury time, you're thinking, get the ball in the box. They've got 10 men. Lump it up there. Get one of your centre halves up. No, pass, left to right, left. There's no urgency. There's no, the substitutions are possibly some of the worst I've ever seen. I thought they were dreadful on Sunday. Truly, truly dreadful. I'm sorry, I don't rate him. You can tell I don't rate him at all.
No, we have to say it. It's clear in front of us. This is what makes it so frustrating. It's not like, it's one of those games where, you lost it and you think, well, we're a bit unlucky. We just didn't turn up, did we?
This is a manager who constantly says he doesn't know what the word pragmatic is. He will not be pragmatic. He plays one way. Yet, when a team's down to 10 men and we got a chance to win the game at home, he brings off our most influential players and puts on a defensive midfielder and a young kid who's,
No, but you what? It's not about being pragmatic. Sometimes you have to understand. We're playing on a Thursday night, although we was at home, but it's a Thursday night game. Energy was spent. He said himself, and this is not me hating on Ange. This is me I would love to sit with him and say, what was the thinking process behind this? I want to understand your rationale. You played Thursday night. We played that game right to the end because they were pushing for the goal. So it was very challenging right up until the final moments when they equalised, and so we had a lot of energy spent there. You're in now 3 days later, probably less than 3 days later. You're playing now a league game against a team who's had a whole week to prepare. So they're going to come at you. They would have planned for playing against you. We find ourselves 1-0 up. We're not controlling the game because of the chances they're creating. It's like they're coming at us like we've been saying it. But we're winning. You're not going to it's not being pragmatic. It's also understanding that you say yourself, Ange Postecoglou, at the end of the game, that my team, my players have given everything. We're running on limited resources. We're literally squeezing the juices out of the players because they're performing every 3 days and they're limited squad. So this, you can see this. You need to sometimes just get over the line, even if you haven't played the way you want to play, or you haven't had the energy levels that perhaps because to play Ange Postecoglou's game, the energy levels need to be high. So if they're not as high and you're squeezing the hell out of these players, you think, what, today we're just going to get over the line. We might get cussed for not playing entertaining football, but we'll get the 3 points in the bag, or do everything you can. And it's those situations, thinking, understanding the moment. Sometimes you're not going against your ethos. You're just thinking, what, this Sunday I just need to get over the line, and then I've got the whole week, rest of the next week to think about the next game and bring that entertainment of get the energy levels back up. Give the boys 2 days off after the Fulham game to recover a little bit, and then go again. But you need to understand the moment of your team at every single second of every minute of the game that you're playing. Understanding you're playing Thursday night, you're back out there Sunday. You're not always going to leave play high level, entertaining, exciting, attacking football, scoring 3 or 4 goals. You're not going to always deliver that when you're squeezing the juices out of 13 players. And let's be honest, he's only really depending on 13, 12, 13 players. He's not really expanding more than that. He's not really. We haven't got that bigger squad anyway, but he's only really relying on those 12, 13.
You haven't been, Iggy, when people say, sorry to jump in, Dad. So
it's fine. It's fine.
So you want some debate, hence why I'm on this show. If you know when he says they don't get me on it to just sit in the corner. When people keep saying to me now,
Savva in the corner.
Yeah, no one puts Savva in the corner. No one. The wife, she fully tells me off. Don't you worry about that. She's the one person that does. And she's the one person that doesn't care about my opinion on Ange Postecoglou. So don't worry about that. When people are saying he hasn't got the players, we've not got the squad, hang on, right? We all knew going into this season we had Europe, right? Fans, we all sit there all year going, Europe. We must get Europe. If it's not Champions League, you must get Europa. We then get it, and then that's the excuse why we don't win games the following season. So, one, are we better off not having Europe than if this is going to be the excuse every time we've played in Europe and then can't win afterwards? And two, he has got players he could use. He just doesn't. He could play
Spence.
Reggie.
He
could play Jed Spence. He could have put Lancashire in. Now, people are going, oh, they're not good enough. They're not ready. This is the squad we went in with. If they are in your squad, give them game time, right? He could have gone into that game and said, you know what? We just had a really tough game against Roma. Archie, go on. We paid 40 million for you. Go and sit in midfield. Guys, don't go too gung-ho. This is Archie's first start in centre mid. Go in central midfield, right? Nope. We play the same players that are available. Werner's not the future of Tottenham, but when Solanke's out, his first thought isn't, Will Lancashire, come on. There's a reason you didn't go on loan. Go on. Go and show us what you've got. Nope. Didn't want to do that. Werner, go on. You go and play. Sonny, you go and play through the mid. I just feel like this club, this manager is so set in his ways that, and you know what? He's getting away with it because the excuses for this man are mental. Injuries. Who is actually missing?
Listen, look, yeah, everything you're saying, I totally get Savva. It's just so frustrating. And like following on what Iggy said, you know, if he thought the team was tired or whatever, or, you know, we had some injuries, why didn't he approach the game differently? Why didn't he just sit in, play on the counter attack? So let Fulham come on to us. And, you know, we're pretty good on the counter attack, aren't we? We saw it the other week against City. It just, none of it makes any sense from Ange and how he manages this team. But look, Savva, you said about the lineups. Look, let's have a look at the lineups. Let's compare them.
Well, let's do it.
Yeah, from Roma.
Let's have a look.
So look, let me run it over with you. I've got it up here on my screen. So look, let's start off with the Roma match, yeah? So the Roma match, obviously we had the same keeper. Centre-backs are the same.
Yep.
Porro is the same.
Yep.
But then we had Gray at left-back. So Doggy was rested. We had Kulusevski in the team against Roma. He was rested. Bentancur was in the team. He was rested for Fulham. Sarr came
suspended, isn't he?
Yeah, so that's fine. You know, that's fresh legs. Sarr was in the team both games, right? Johnson as well. Solanke was missing for Fulham, and Son was in. So there was enough fresh legs in there, wasn't there? Really, if you look at it, for the Fulham game.
I think Bentancur came in at Roma, and then it was Bissouma against Fulham, so that was another one.
So what's that? Half and half, maybe? Maybe half and half? Maybe just under that.
Yeah.
The thing is, it's the approach, man. When we play against a level of opposition that the same as us or even better than us, they don't play. They play open football, and that suits us. It's the teams that the Ipswich have come over, the Fulham. They're all watching each other now. I think this is the way to have the best chance of success at White Hart Lane, and you will see more and more of these games now because they are proven to get the results. You'll get a draw, you might nick a win. Sometimes you may nick a win and end up with a draw. So there's a clear pattern there of how teams are going to be playing against us. Unless your names are the Man City, United, Liverpools and stuff like that, any other teams around us or just below us, they will approach it because it's proven to be successful. The managers will be looking at other managers to see how they're set up to get a result against us. And it's the biggest thing for me is not coming out of the blocks, taking a lead, and then I think we played the first sort of 20-25 minutes really well. We might even go ahead, and then just there's a drop off. There's a massive drop off after that, and we allow teams back into the game, and it's almost always followed by an error of some sort from one of our players that will result to their goal, and then after that it just kind of gets.
Iggy, do you think that? From what I'm hearing is the training sessions are exactly the same as the games in terms of running around like absolute crazy, getting fitness up. Do you think the problem is if you are playing 3 times a week and you're training like crazy, you're gung-ho like crazy in games, it's going to catch up with people. And this is why sometimes when I say, take the sting out of some games. Sometimes start for the first 10 minutes, put your foot on the ball, see what the other team are made of, calm things down. You know, last 15 minutes against Roma, you could see that they're getting on top. Put your foot on the ball. Take some sting out.
We're 2-1 up by that point as well. So this is what I'm saying. It's always in situations where we are leading. It's not that we're behind and we're chasing games. We are leading.
Exactly.
We was leading against Roma. We was leading against Fulham. So it was done them to come at us. And we should have said to Roma, come on then, come at us. We want them to come at us because then we can expose them and go for the counter. So the last 15 minutes, let's set up in a certain way where we're just going to pick them off and go and get the third goal. It is game management. And sometimes, like I said, it's different ways, to skin a cat. So I don't understand why we have to always play the same sort of way. It's not a defeat by tweaking it. It's smart, tweaking it. You're tweaking and adjusting depending on the situation that's in front of you. It's not just in football; it's in ways of life as well. You tweak and adapt depending on the situation you find. If you're in a favourable situation, you carry on doing your thing. If something backs the wall a little bit, thinking I'm a bit under pressure, you have to tweak it to try and sort of navigate yourself out of this situation. This is what football is: understanding, reading the situation, and to counter it. Because managers will make their moves. Marcos Silva made his move. He was tweaking it. He was moving it. You have to read the situation and adjust. Like I said, sometimes his game management has been good. Other times it's been disappointing. And it's just like I said, from winning situations like we were against Roma and we were against Fulham, we found ourselves dropping points from a leading situation. And I'd be interested to see a stat somewhere say how many points have we dropped from leading. It'd be I haven't looked. There's something I'm thinking about on the spot now. It's something I'm definitely going to look up to. How many points have we ended up losing from winning situations? And probably find it's happened quite a lot this season.
Look, following on from what everyone said, anybody can turn up at our ground and win. Look, and this for me is just not acceptable. Yeah, where's the conviction in our play? Yeah, we never control games, really, do we? Look, we may have a lot of the attacking momentum, but we never really control matches. What I would like to see, we just don't have that conviction. What do you think, guys? Do you agree with that? The conviction. Do you know what I mean when I say that? Like controlling the game, sitting back when needed. Game management, like you said, Iggy.
We don't control games, do we? Everything is, like everyone's already said, everything is 100 miles an hour with Spurs. But the one thing I always felt with Tottenham is, okay, our away form might not be great, but at least at home, we're good. And now the last 3 home games, Ipswich, Roma and Fulham,
been poor.
We're not so good. And that's a concern for me. And like you said, game management, go down, roll around on the pitch, get the trainer on, waste some time. Spurs don't seem to do that. Everything is 100 miles an hour.
Dan, listen, I completely agree with Nige. There was a point where we always used to go, well, like Nige, we're in a WhatsApp group together. I'd always say to people in there, yeah, we're at home today, we're all right. And now all of a sudden at home, we look really exposed and it feels like teams are learning how to play against us. Again, it's just in-game management. So like against Roma, why not when you bring Basuma on, say, right, hang on, they're going to score again here. Sorry. Oh, Leicester City should be 2-0 up. Sorry, I like to multitask and not very good at it. Bring a Basuma on and say, right, listen, they're overloading Porro. Basuma, I know it's not your natural position, but go and sit in front of him on the right-hand side. I know you're a central midfielder, but let's do that. But he doesn't. He never snuffs out the danger, if that makes sense. He doesn't say, hang on, this isn't working tactically, let me change it. It's just, let's go and do more of the same. And I'd love to say, guys, that was a one-off, but we saw this against Brighton. Now, the first half against Brighton, Spurs were actually good, right? But in the last 15 minutes of that first half, Matoma just started to get on the ball, take his man on, whip balls in. And you're thinking, right, have a word about that at half time. Second half, come out, Matoma again, given all the space he wants on the left. No one doubling up with Porro. That's the blueprint of how to get a Spurs. Porro and Udogie, for as good of footballers as they are the weak links because of Ange's system. I'm not having a pop at the players, but no manager, even at Bayern Munich, right, Pep used to put Lahm, right, into that midfield from the right-back position, but he had 3 centre-halves. He had 3 defenders at the back covering it. Spurs don't do that. We just go 2 defenders. And to be fair, how well have Dragusin and Davis done to cover the number of balls that are coming in the box that those 2 are actually clearing? Right?
And there's not many positives, but that is one, Savva. That is one. And, there's very rare positives on that game, but I think the positives is the centre-backs and the keeper. They've done okay, haven't they?
Exactly. None of them are first-team starters. We've ended up from Romero, Van der Ven, and Vicario. We're now playing with Dragusin, Davis, and Foster. Who'd have thought it? Come December, in our busiest period, we're going to be facing them with players who haven't seen the pitch, not even with binoculars. You know, they haven't seen the pitch, and now here
But
they
who
are.
would be
We're
the
having
best
to
on the
run.
pitch, Iggy?
Yeah, listen.
Everyone keeps saying
Listen.
to me about
I'm not
injuries.
knocking them. I've just said Foster was our man of the
Yeah.
match against Fulham. The
Yeah.
two boys, I think they've done as well as they can be. But when you put them in a situation where they can play at their best, like against Man City, they were able to do that because they dropped 5-10 yards plus.
Yep.
But now, upon seeing the Fulham game, that was circumstantial. That was because the way Man City are, that we were forced to play a certain way. This is what I'm saying, though. He recognised that Man City were better. They were a better team, and we adjusted and adapted to the circumstances of what the match was.
Yeah.
Why can't we do that when you know that your team's not flying? And
Iggy,
you tell the
didn't.
wingers, don't stay so high. Don't ever go at Johnson for turning back and passing it back when you wanted them to face it and hit it forward. You're like, sometimes you have to gain management, but he's telling those players that he wants the ball to go forward all the time. So there's only one way we're only going to play. We're never going to be game managing within the game. We're not. We're going to keep the ball like Savva wants someone to put a foothold to the ball. Because he's clearly telling them to keep playing.
Here's the question, though. Did he change the tactics for City, or did City's abundance of possession dictate that we couldn't do what we normally do?
Yeah.
Just throwing it out
But
there.
it was circumstantial.
No,
That's what I'm saying. It was circumstantial. After that Man City game, we said, "Is this as Ange?" We were saying it. I think what was this Saturday night? We was all together and we said, "Is this a thing now? He's ready, or is it a circumstance?" I said, remember I was saying we ain't gonna know the truth until 2 or 3 games time, where we see if we see this in the next 2 or 3 games and think, "Shit, he's actually got it. He's understood it now." But it was just a one-off. It was just a one-off, a great one-off by all means. But it's frustrating because I think if he was able to do a little bit of that, introduce that into armor, it's not a weakness to do that. It's actually a strength to realizing when you're strong
100%.
and to realize when you're not so strong, or to realize when you can't. It's not a strength. And I don't know. I'm starting to believe that Ange doesn't see it that way. I think he sees it that he needs to provide one way and one way only, and that's sadly a fault because, like I said, I don't want to see a manager going. I don't want him out. I think I'm personally going to give it to the season. I will draw my conclusion at the end of the season, seeing what we've done right now to get rid of him. To end up with who? Who are we going to end up right now? We get rid of this manager.
Anyone.
Who?
Ronald McDonald. I don't care. The burglar, the hamburger. I don't care.
I have a few in mind. I have a few in mind as well. Now, listen, look, all what we've discussed tonight so far about that game, you know, the couple of videos, there's such a big case where it's all going wrong. People in the chat, a lot of people I'm reading are agreeing with it all. It's just not good enough at the moment. Look, let's read a couple of comments in the chat, which I've starred, which I'll bring up. So what do people think about this one? Matrix Moves, thank you for your comment. Think you overrate that lineup. We played against Fulham. The difference in quality between the two isn't that much. Now that's up for debate.
Do you know what the problem is with comments like this? A big up Matrix Moves. I'm not having to pop it in, but the problem with this is, if I went on a stream in the summer and said, "Carl, we've got really poor players," I'm told I'm negative. This player's brilliant. That player's brilliant. He gets into that team. He should play for City. He's good enough for Arsenal. He's who Ange wanted. The moment we don't do well, it's, oh, well, we're overrating the players. I don't know. I don't know the answer anymore. It's the players aren't good enough. The manager's not good enough. Injuries. Look, there was more than enough on that pitch at the weekend to beat Fulham.
We're better than Fulham.
Right? There was more than enough. You had James Maddison, Sonny, right? Brennan Johnson scoring goals for fun. You got a midfield two of Sarr and Basuma, and everyone can't keep telling me how good they are, right? Adogi and Porro, I'm told, are brilliant. Davis and Dragusin played well. I'm sorry, there's more than enough to beat them. And guys, do you know how many players played against Fulham that played against Man City a week earlier?
Don't know.
You know who was missing basically?
Goalie.
Solanke.
What, the keeper?
So 3
So,
probably,
okay,
yeah.
so
Solanke,
keeper, but our
keeper,
keeper was
and
man of the match. So it
Tulip.
wasn't on him, right? So Solanke is the only one not available from that game. Kulu was on the bench. So if we're saying the difference between battering City 4-0 and not being good enough to beat Fulham is Dominic Solanke, who's got 4 Premier League goals all year, we're in trouble. we're in real trouble if that's the case.
No, we should be listen at home against Fulham, and no disrespect to Fulham, and I'm sure there's Fulham supporters that watch as well. Watch on. Listen, there's no disrespect, but at home, Spurs should be winning that. I don't at their ground. Maybe there's an argument I could say. Well, you know what? They're normally against us. It's always a tough ground for Spurs when we go to Craven Scottish. But at home, we should be putting that way, especially given, like I said, the previous Premier League game. We've got just a standard. We should have gone in there full of confidence. Roma or not aside, in between that, shouldn't deter because we've said all season that the form that we have in the Europa and the form that we got in Premier League are 2 different things. We shouldn't even try because we don't even always play the same players in both competitions. So it's 2 separate things and it's isolated. We should be going in at home, like I said, steamrolling. I'm not saying 4-5-0, but we should be winning that game comfortably. But we like I said, it's just inconsistency. There's that word that keeps coming up all the time. We just, I don't know if it could be a physical, it could be a mindset, it could be the way we play. I don't know. It's just
look. There's some Fulham players I really like. I like their fullbacks. They have got some talent in their team, and it's not like I
I've wanted
say,
them at Spurs. The American kid that plays at left
Robinson.
back, I think is when we just
Yeah.
call Sergio Regulon back in our team. You know, we had they had Sessegnon on there. So I'm saying Robinson's a really good player. There's 1 or 2 interesting players that they got as well.
Yeah.
Mind having them. Some people might argue that they might even want their manager in our team. I don't know, but no, they're Fulham definitely produce 1 or 2 players all the time. All the time.
Yeah, they are.
Sure.
They are. They've got some good players.
But they did just get battered by Wolves 4-1. Do you know what I mean? Like if we're going to play that, look, you couldn't get a bigger swing. Last weekend, Spurs win 4-0 and Fulham lose 4-1. That's that 7-goal difference, right? And then Fulham come as Spurs and are the better team. And can I tell you the one thing that winds me up more than anything? When we win, it's a masterclass from Ange, right? When we win, Ange is the greatest manager in the world. When we lose, injuries, tiredness, didn't get the players he wanted. So I'll accept that as an answer if people turn around and say, okay, well, the Man City result was a fluke. Now, I'm not saying it was, but that's what they're saying because this same squad that beat Man City couldn't beat Fulham and was the second best team.
Listen,
what does that tell you?
I think you've got to look at the matches per game, right? And say, I do this all the time. I see a Man City. I thought that was a great performance, real proper away performance, play to the T. But I have no problems in criticising when I feel that we didn't play as well. And I don't have a problem laying it on the players. I don't have a problem playing it on the manager. I don't distinguish between the 2 facts. If I feel like I praise, I'll give the praise. If I feel like there's critique there, I will do it. It's as simple as that. I don't feel like I'm a hypocrite for doing one thing or another, depending on the match I see. I will critique what I see in the
I
good
do
and
the
in the
same,
bad.
Iggy. We do the same. If we do something well, I will praise it. I
not-
will. That manager, the team, and if we're awful, I will critique it. That's what I'm going to do. That's what I've been doing all season. You know, you have to have that balance when you assess games and review games. Nige, you know, what about you, man? What do you think?
I just think we're so inconsistent. I expected us to beat Fulham at home. I expect us to win all of our home games. You know, I fancy us against anyone at home usually. But yeah, like you say, Fulham have got decent players. But quickly going back to the Man City game, you know, we played like this at the Etihad for the last 2 or 3 seasons, haven't we? You know, the same kind of way. We drew 3-3 last season. City took their chances that day, but we still scored 3. And the season before, we lost 4-2, was it? Again, we're 2-0 up at half time. For me, the game the other week against City, though it was really good, wasn't a lot different. You know, we took our chances, they didn't take theirs. So yeah, for me, I look at that game in isolation because we always tend to do quite well at City. But the home form, as I said, is a concern for me now.
It is. And for me, before I go on to the next message I'm going to read out, why didn't the players get up for that match? There was a lack of motivation, attitude, mentality, whatever you want to call it. Where was that on Sunday? Can anybody answer that? Because I'm baffled. You're playing against you're at home, you're playing for the fans. You know, just had a fantastic result against City. Amazing result. Why weren't they up for it? And this is not the first time that's happened this season.
I think we struggle after Europa. I generally think we just struggle we are struggling between Europa on a Thursday and the game on a Sunday. Those are the games that we struggle the most. Like I said, Postecoglou said at the end of the game, but he thinks that the players are giving him everything. We're running on low gas. I think we're running. There's tiredness kicking in. I don't know. We did freshen up a little bit, but
we did.
But again, listen. I can accept all of that. But I think Savva touched upon it at the beginning. We play every season for a target, and that target is to make Europe, be it Europa, be it Champions League. That's the target. When we achieve that target, what is the club then doing to say we've got to have an extra 20 games a season now? Can we still do it with the players that have been playing one game a week from the previous season? We're not going to do it. So we need to up the numbers to enable us to play every 3 games. That's the mindset we've got to do. But we never seem to prepare for that. So then we get to Europe and then we say, you know what, it would be best if we leave Europa and focus on the league. I know we just fought the whole season to get into Europe, and now we're saying we should be out of it because we can't manage it. We need to identify where the problem is rather than criticize for being in Europe.
There's so many problems.
We should get, or you know what, FA Cup, maybe we should leave that. Leave the EFL Cup and just focus on what? For me right now, if this is the way forward numerically, numbers, if this is what we're going to do to then play in Europe, then I'd rather say, do you know what? I don't care where we finish in the league. It matters little if we make Europa, if we make Champions League or not. Maybe to the club, but not to me personally. I'd rather say, do you know what? I'd rather just say, use these league games as friendlies, and then when we play in the EFL Cup, in Europa, in the FA Cup, play your best team.
No, but Iggy, Ange thinks he can win it all. Ange has said he's going for everything, isn't he? So we're not going to see it.
But you can't go for everything if you're not equipped.
No, you can't.
It's like saying you're going to war with a penknife, and you're not going to do it, are you? You're not going to achieve anything. You just get blown up as soon as you. So I'm saying you don't have the armor to go and achieve these things. It's not realistic. You're going to burn out. We're in December, and we're talking about tiredness. We've got a second half of the season coming up. We're not even there yet.
Iggy, that's my point, right? I think when this is why I don't buy this excuse of tiredness and burnout after 13 Premier League games. These are athletes. These guys live, breathe, and eat football. They have got the best. They've got the best conditions in terms of the best equipment, the best facilities. They've got sports scientists, nutritionists. They've got this person that takes their body weight. They probably go to bed with someone who takes their body temperature and makes sure they're in the right bed with the right quilt. And right, we get 13 games into a Premier League season, and they're tired. But hang on, tired. Back in the day, there never used to be substitutions. They didn't used to have an 11, right? How have Man United, Man City, Chelsea, Arsenal, Liverpool, how have these clubs, and sorry if I've missed any other big clubs out, how have they done it year in, year out, winning things, titles, Europe, cups, right? Every game Liverpool play in the Champions League, does Mo Salah play?
Yeah.
Every game Mo Salah plays, I never see anyone go, he looks tired. I never see it. I never see people going, Virgil van Dijk.
It's after that new contract, Savva. Motivation.
Yeah, but
I'm joking.
I hear you, right? But you never hear it. In all the Champions League games when City would play, Erling Haaland plays every single bloody one of them. No one ever said Erling Haaland looked tired or De Bruyne, right? No, yes, they've got more players they can rotate, but the big players played every week. Rodri didn't miss a game, right? No one ever said he looked tired, right? With 13, we're not even in January or February. We're in 13 games into the league season, right? We've rotated heavily for Europa League games, but yet the first Europa game we don't, and this was the first one we didn't, right, guys? Do you agree? The other 4 we have, this one we didn't. This is the first time when we're going, oh, but they're playing 3 games a week. Hang on. We made 7 changes against Galatasaray. We made like 9 changes against Ferencvaros or whatever it was. So this notion that they're all tired so quick, I'm sorry. How can we then say we need top 4? Do you think you get into Champions League and start rotating your best 11? Aston Villa, you look at Aston Villa, their players, they're playing every week in the Champions League, their best 11, because you're in the Champions League. And then they're going to the weekend and playing their best 11 again, right? I get it. We're resting loads and loads and loads of players for these games. And then when we get to the weekend, oh, they're tired. Sorry? What? Why was Basuma tired after playing 10 minutes against Roma? Why was Porro, why was Adogi tired? Forster's not tired. He's a goalkeeper. Why is Werner tired?
I think sometimes making too many changes doesn't work in your favor as well. When you're making changes, sometimes you just got to at least start the game and then make the changes. You know, nowadays we even got 5 subs now. You can change half a team. So I still think you can make starting 11 against Roma and play that same starting 11 against Fulham, and then make the changes into the second half when necessary. But I don't know. Look, at the end of the day, there's so many different reasons as to why this happened and that happens. At the bottom line is the biggest factor is that we don't. For me, when I watch us play football, it's not adapting to situations that opposing teams bring to us. We ask questions of opposing teams, but opposing teams also ask questions, and it's he who adapts quickest and tweaks it to win that game is the one that comes away with the points more often than not. And we don't seem to come first when it comes to that. It's just almost if we're pinned in a certain way against, like I said, we bring the Man City up again because it's the most recent emphatic win that we've had. We were sort of put in a situation where we had to play that way, and it turned out best for us. And we didn't look at that and say, right, what can we keep it's us, and then what worked for us in another situation that perhaps we wouldn't normally have done, but it worked. Can I implement that in the next game? It's just as if saying, nah, I'm not having it. I don't want to see that. I want to carry on doing mine.
And this is why I kind of called the show the blame game, because there's so many excuses for Ange and this team. It's getting ridiculous now. We're going to be coming back to it in and out of the show tonight. It's just so much going wrong under Ange, in my opinion, and many others, that I just don't know why not enough people see it. Look, everybody's got their own opinion and their own look on the manager and the team. Fair enough. But for me, it's not working. And look, the sooner we get Ange moved on, the better, to be honest.
Would you get rid of him now, Dan, or would you
get rid of him now?
Really?
Definitely. There's managers out there. There's so many. We can just look at some of them in the league we have now.
I think Sergio Conceição is linked with West Ham at the moment. I've been hearing as well. So
yeah, good manager. You've got likes of Thomas Frank. You've got the Bournemouth manager, Areola. You look at the Fulham manager. I think all of them would do a better job than Ange. I've got to be honest. Could we get them? I don't know. But look, I think there's definitely managers out there. Look, let's hold off on that for now. Let's try and keep it on the game. Let's just read this comment out here before we move on to the next part. So it's, guys, if we get a chance, we need to chat about the atmosphere at the stadium. For me, it's embarrassing. How do we improve it? What's everyone's thoughts on this? Did anyone go to the game out of here? Iggy, did you go?
I wasn't there. No, I wasn't there on Sunday.
I won't go. But listen, I'll be honest. If I won't go because of not Ange, but I won't go because of Levy. But that's a different story. I get it. If I'm watching that crap that I saw there and against Ipswich, I don't know how you get the crowd on your side. The problem is when you play such an open style of football fans never used to like this. This whole, oh, I love it. We're open and me to you, you to me, you know, end to end. Football fans didn't used to like this. We used to bemoan this. We used to say we're far too open. We've now got fans who now go, oh, it's brilliant. It's not brilliant. When you play that open style of play and the other team have a lot of the football, the fans are going to get restless, Dan. The fans are going to get restless. If you are seeing time and time again that they're coming down your flanks time and time again, and the manager is standing there not changing anything, I would get restless. And that's not about, again, that's not Ange.
The fans reflect the performance, don't they? That's what you're saying, Savva. The fans, if we're playing well, we're attacking, trying to score, that lifts the crowd. When it's flat like that, then the crowd's going to be flat.
Well, you think about it, right? When he first came in and they were singing songs like, you know, Poch is dead, I'm loving Big Ange instead, and everyone's going mad. Funny how that's all completely gone now. And why? Because the results are so up and down. The performances are so up and down. Look, in the next two games, it will be the same thing. As I said, I think I know we're going to talk about them, but I think we'll win one and lose one. I couldn't tell you which way round. When we win a game, it will be, there you go, Ange is great. Look at his tactics. When we lose the other game, it will be, oh, I don't know, the players are tired and Ange hasn't got a lot of options. This is what we do. At the end of the day, you know, I keep hearing, oh, we're 3 points off top 4, but, you know, loads of teams can say that. Loads of teams at the moment can say they're 3 or 4 points off top 4. We're 2 points off 13th. That should be the more worry for me. That if we're going to talk about Ange is great, look what he's done, this winning culture. What if we don't win, gentlemen? What if we don't win either of the next 2 games? That would be 1 win in 7 if we don't win either of the next 2. What's the excuse going to be for him there?
Yeah, look, we will find out, won't we? We will find out.
All these people that love him, like Ange, all these people that love him, what is this based off? He's done nothing in the world of football, right? He's got no pedigree in terms of being at a top club. But people are talking about him like, if you give this guy 5 years, and what I got earlier on We Are Tottenham TV, big up to the lads for having me on, was, yeah, but, you know, if you look at his record, it's like Klopp and Pep after 50 games. Yeah, but Klopp and Pep were seasoned winners at top clubs around the world. Pep and Klopp know what they're doing. Why? Where's this belief come from that this guy is actually any good? We're 9th in the form table over the last calendar year. 9th. What has he done? What has he done to hoodwink so many fans? I don't understand it.
I don't.
Sorry,
and there's many fans. It's just, yeah, look, everybody's got their own opinions. And, you know, it's hard when you feel a certain way and you're seeing it. And then other people are seeing it differently. It's frustrating, but it is what it is. Now, look, let's move on. I know, Iggy, you've got to jump in a minute, haven't you? But look, we're going to move on to some of the all of our games this season and our kind of the players' average positions and the kind of attacking momentum. I just want us to all have a look at it and just run through it. And then I just want everyone's thoughts. So let's bring it up. Let's go through it now. Oops. Let me add it to the stage. Okay, so look, let's start off. I know it might be quite hard to see. I don't know what you're, if you're on a computer at home or whatever, or on an iPad or something. It's quite small. So look, let's have a look.
He's on his typewriter because he's nearly 50. He's on his typewriter.
Could everyone see that clearly?
Sorry, yeah. I love you. Yes.
Yeah. So look at this is how we've been setting up under Ange this season. Look, so let's look at the first 4 games there. You know, we can see that the high line is clearly there in all of those games, even away to Newcastle, away to Leicester. And then go and have a look at the attacking momentum as well under each one. And if you look at the Leicester one, we're the blue at the bottom. You know, if you look at that, we've had so much of the play, so much of the attacking momentum. Same with Everton. Arsenal is a little bit lower, but that's to expected. Arsenal are a better team. And even if you look at Newcastle, look at all the attacking momentum in that game as well. So those first 4 games, you could say, look, we've really dominated, but for one reason or another, we haven't got the wins. So anybody want to comment on that first before I move to the next set of games?
Listen, we won against Everton because they were just crap. That game. Arsenal, good side. They come with a lot of injuries. Probably should have done a bit better than what we did. Newcastle, I felt, was a game we should have won. Leicester, again, same thing. We just dropped points against a poor side in that moment in time. For me, there was a lot of those. Apart from the Arsenal game, I felt we should have won at Newcastle. Definitely, we're far better against the rubbish Everton team in that moment. And in Leicester, we should have picked up some more points, but just didn't happen. Like you said, just didn't happen. Poor finishing a lot of the times.
Yeah, so Leicester, for me, we dropped points, yeah? That should have been a win. Everton was Everton. Arsenal, you know, I don't expect to beat Arsenal. They're a good team, you know. They're challenging for the title. You know,
but they came with a lot of injuries. We didn't take advantage of that.
No, we didn't. We weren't good enough.
What do you know? What do you notice? What do you notice about the 3 games that we didn't win there? Right, Arsenal, Newcastle, and Leicester. All 3 teams didn't have any interest in coming out and playing.
Good point.
All 3 teams. What Arsenal sat in, Leicester sat in, Newcastle sat in, and everyone talks about possession, shots. How many against Leicester, for example? Yeah, we played well first half. Did we have any real clear-cut chances where you go, "Oh, that was good"? It was a lot of balls into the box, snapped headers. When teams put men behind the ball, we invariably struggle. We want to play. Let's look at the teams that didn't. Aston Villa didn't.
Yeah.
But West Ham in the second half pushed up, right? Man City never put 10 men behind the ball. These are the games where we tend to do better. These games where teams are putting men in against us, we really struggle. We struggle to break them down. That's because we have one way of playing.
Definitely not lost. I think we should have got a point.
What I will say is the home games, just looking at this Arsenal and Everton one, and then the next page, we do seem to be leaving our 2 centre-halves a lot more open than we do away. The fullbacks seem to invert a little bit more at home, maybe than away.
Yeah, we can have a look at it. Yeah, definitely. So look, just finishing off on this page. Look, I think we've dropped points. Leicester, Newcastle, Arsenal. I think we didn't deserve the game, but you know, fair enough. Arsenal done well in a defensive way and got their win. Let's look at the next set of fixtures here. Again, Brentford dominated. If you look at it in an attacking sense, I mean, what I remember of that game is that we weren't the best, but we managed to get the win. I think Brentford had some really dangerous chances that game, and I think it was on a bit of a knife edge in the second half. If you can all remember, we were like 2-1 up, but Brentford had a couple of glorious chances, and we got that third quite late on to get the 3 points. West Ham, again, West Ham are not in a good moment this season. New manager coming in, that was a straightforward victory. But even then, in that game, in the first half, I think we were even a goal down. Man United, we look at that and we think, you know, Man United, they went down to 10 men. Great, we started so well in that match. And look, we got the victory and there's a fantastic away win. But then you question it and you think, Man United, they weren't in a good moment. You know, they sacked their manager a couple of weeks after, and the red card really impacted on the game. But still, fantastic result. Can't take it away from them. And then we have the Brighton mess. So look, guys, what's your thoughts on them?
Look,
Go on, sponsor.
Yeah, no, look, just for me, look, I think you're seeing a lot of similarities every game, whether they're home or away there. If you actually look at the positions on the pitch, we tend to very much do the same thing. And as I've said before, it doesn't leave the other teams guessing. It really doesn't leave the other teams guessing. You know what? I keep seeing people say, you know, oh, we create a lot of chances. We need to score more. Scoring goals has not been our problem this year, gentlemen. Scoring goals is not the problem. Being completely wide open is. I don't understand. I'm sorry. I'm really struggling to understand, chaps, how people are not looking at how wide open we are and going, cool, we need to sort that out. We're blaming forwards We're scoring goals. We've scored the most goals in the Premier League. Yeah. But we leave ourselves so susceptible at the back. I don't understand how. For me, I think it's a lot of people. I'm going to say it will piss people off. I think a lot of people don't understand tactics of football. I think a lot of people just go, "Oh, I support Spurs. It's great." If you actually go and speak to coaches, tacticians, they'll tell you you can't play like this if you want to be a top club. You've got to be difficult to beat. You've got to plug the gaps. And what you can see there, have a look down the side.
The channels.
Look at the channels. Every game, look at the channels in behind. Obviously, 37 is Van der Ven, 17 is Romero, right? Am I right?
Yeah.
And look at the space in behind them in the channels on all of those graphs. That is, if Gary O'Neill did it on Sky Sports, didn't he? He came on and gave a tactical breakdown of how you beat Ange's team, right? We've seen Roma come to Spurs. They did it. Not saying beat us, but how to get at us. We've just seen Fulham do it to us. We saw Brighton do it. Again, Brighton, everything they did. Minte on the right, Matoma on the left. We are so easy to break down on the wings. It is just, I don't know how people can't see it. It's there. Look at the grass behind our centre-backs on the channels. Look at the space.
Look, it's clear, isn't it? It's clear to see there. And Nigel, you mentioned about the home games. What did you say about the home matches? That the centre backs are slightly higher.
Right. Yeah, I mean, what I've noticed from the home games is that Romero and Van der Ven are exposed even more than the away games. So Udogie and Porro are up even further. So there's even more space to run in behind. But with the stats are a funny thing, aren't they? With the amount of goals we've scored, we have scored the most in the Premier League. But when we win by 4. That's the problem. We can't do it every game. I'd much rather we scored a couple every game and won games and smash teams 4-0 or 4-1, and then a week later lose 1-0.
Why is it so extreme?
I don't know.
Can you bring up a comment for me? Sorry, I'm reacting. I'm reacting. Ethelstan at 8:56.
Yeah, sure.
Right? Who says Savva doesn't know what he's talking about, right? Ethelstan, we are the top goal scorers in the Premier League, right? So clearly, scoring goals this season hasn't been a problem for us. If it's a problem for us, then it's a massive problem for everyone else. Ethelstan, if you watch our games and don't see how much space we give down our flanks, I don't know what to tell you. Sorry, guys on the panel, am I going mad? You guys see this too, right? How teams attack us down our flanks because of the inverted fullbacks. Am I going mad?
We give it so many chances, don't we?
Yeah, every match, even Roma on Thursday night, they scored literally the final attacks. We should have seen that game out, and we just left ourselves. Angelino had been putting some really, really rubbish crosses all night. Ended up putting a deadly one that for Hummels to score. I just think we always can be got up because it's very easy to set up against us, especially when we're at home, because they can see us coming. They look at these things like we're looking at right now, and we can be got up. We can be got at, and a lot of the times as well because of our wingers, especially when we're on our right side when Johnson's there. For how good he is at attacking and to go and getting our goals, he doesn't really defend much. Partly, I think, because I think Postecoglou wants it that way. Maybe it's not in Johnson's characteristics, but how many times do we see a game where Porro and Udogie are got out in a one-on-one situation, sometimes in 2-on-1 situations?
Yeah,
we don't ever counter for that. There's no adjustments when we see that. Saying, okay, we see what we're doing now. Let's adjust. We don't adjust it. We just keep going the way we are because we always try to score one more goal more than the other than the opposing team. I don't know, man. That's just how I see it.
But the thing is, we were told all summer, Iggy, by all these people that claim to know Ange so well, even though none of them probably ever watched Celtic. We were told that in the second season is when he changes things up. It's not changed anything. We are as open as we were before. We are so wide open. Look, at the end of the day, people can say, I don't know what I'm talking about. But there's a reason why we win one, lose one, win one, lose one, win one, lose one, win one, lose one. And it's not because we're not scoring goals. I'm sorry. It's
No,
too
no. I think we're
simplistic.
scoring goals. I think with the balance is like, for me, it's not so much about the amount of goals that we're scoring, or even the amount of goals that we're conceding, because I don't think we're conceding. We haven't been as bad this season in terms of goal conversion from our position. I think it's just finding the balance and understanding the moments in the games. That's what we're refusing to do, not adjusting and tweaking when teams are on top of us. For me, it's more to do with the game management in terms of what you're seeing on the pitch. And if the team is playing every 3 games, you're not always going to be attacking, flowing football with full of energy and rock and roll football. You're not always going to be able to see that, depending what kind of game you've had 3 days prior. So all I'm saying right now is, for me, it's been about finding a balance. Like I said, I'm even willing to give Postecoglou to the end of the season because, like I said, we are in a position in the league where I fully expect us to be. We're 3 points behind the third, 5 behind the second. So it's not. I understand who's behind us as well. Don't get me wrong. I do get that. So I don't think it's all doom and gloom there. And we are in both cup competitions. So for me right now, I would stick with what we have, but just to find a bit more balance within the games itself. We've been reading the game management, have a bit more balance, and a bit more balance as well in terms of results, to find a level where we're picking up points consistently and not so this up and down. That's my thought process, man. Rightly or wrong as it may be. I know you guys have said that you'll get rid of
The
him,
thing is,
but
Iggy,
I'm not there
Iggy,
yet. I'm not.
I listen. I always say this when people say to me, "I'll give him to the end of the season." It's not our decision. I mean, me saying I want him, I don't want him here, is nothing to do with giving him to the end of the season. He's going to be here until Levy sacks him.
Yeah.
The problem for me is I completely agree with you. We need balance, but the fact that we're so up and down, the fact that we've lost the volume of games we have in the last calendar year, and still people go, "No, I really like Ange. Tactically, he's good." You don't lose that volume of games if you're good, right? In 2020, in 2024, and I think we can now say the year's coming to an end, right? In 12 months, we've won 4 games away. Like 4.
Yeah. Listen, it's poor. It's poor.
That's
In
not a
2024,
tactically
it's poor.
astute manager.
No, these are facts. They can't argue with facts.
We've lost 9 home games in 2024, right? But people go, "No, good tactically, and all we've got to do is this." The whole thing needs to be fixed. And do you know what? Ben Kaufman put it brilliantly earlier. Said, "We've got a manager that's trying to reinvent the wheel whilst removing the nuts and bolts that hold the wheel together." And what he means by that is you've taken away, you've got no defensive midfielder, you've got fullbacks not defending. You are removing the nuts and bolts that allow a team to function. But look, if I'm wrong, we'll see. But do you know what? I predicted we'd finish 7th this season. We're currently sitting in 7th. This is exactly why I don't rate him. This is what I thought we would do. Nothing has shocked me. It just shocks me that so many people love him off the basis of what he's done at Celtic, the same thing that Brendan Rodgers is doing, a manager that everyone collectively turned their noses up at that summer when we signed Ange.
Look, Savva.
Guys,
Yeah. Iggy, you off?
Shoot. Yeah, I've got to
Iggy,
shoot, mate.
Thanks for coming on, man.
No
Take
problem
care of
at all.
yourself.
Bye,
Big
Iggy.
up, guys. Big up to everyone in the chat. Big up, Savs. Take care, guys. All the best.
Take care.
Look, let's try and look at it from another angle as well, because we have to, just to get us talking and everybody in the chat. If you look at them 4 games as well, all those 4 games when we're having most of the play again, and this is why it's so frustrating, isn't it? That, this is what did I say earlier, Savva? So close, but so far, something like that.
Yep.
And then I look at it and I'm thinking, and then I'll go back to the summer transfer window. And it's just so disappointing that we just didn't bring in some more like ready now players, quality players, experienced players to really boost this team. And you never know, we could have got more points with those. I know it's one of those things you never know, but for me, I just look at that and I think there's a lot.
Trust him.
You know, I get that, Savva. You don't trust him. I don't trust him either now.
Would you give him another 200-300 million?
No, I wouldn't. Not now. Not after what I've seen this season so far.
I think
in hindsight, it is, isn't it? It's in hindsight, Savva.
I think you could give this man some of the best players out there, and he'd still play this suicidal inverted fullbacks, and we'd still get caught. That at the end of the day, that's just me. I would just love to know where this, this Draven in your chat. I'm not an Ange hater. I don't rate him. Can people please understand the difference between hate and not rating? I don't know the guy, right? I just don't rate him as a football manager. He's done worse than AVB. Everyone wanted AVB out. Do you know what I mean? He's done worse than Tim Sherwood if we look at it in the last calendar year. But everyone hated Sherwood. But for some reason...
Savva, can I say something quickly? People in the chat, it's not hating. It's just Savva's opinion, my opinion, Nigel's opinion on what we think. It's not hating. You know, we've got a right to have our opinions, and that's how we see it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I just find at the moment with a lot of this possession thing, which gets brought up a lot, and I've said it before, I think we confuse possession with progression. And, you know, as for, it's like if you weren't watching a Spurs game and someone said to you, oh, they drew 2-2 today, you don't really need to see the goals, do you? Because you know what goal we're going to score is going to be crossed into the back post. You know what goal we're going to concede. Pretty much, it's going to be crossed into the back post, Paro, whatever. It's, you know, it's just a bit boring now. I'm kind of at that point where I want to see something different for me.
I completely agree with you. This is why when people keep saying to me, I think we're really excited and play great football, I think it's so mundane. We have 10-minute spells every now and then, right? Where we put teams to the sword, and that's great. But in general, are we that good to watch? It's a lot of pointless possession between Romero and Van de Ven at the back. Pass. It's like, I don't know, man. Not for me.
Look, we look at this. Look at these games. It's, you know, there's a slight couple of different games here. You see Man City there, where the centre backs are clearly sitting back. Fullback's still quite high though in that cup match. And then I made a mistake here the other day about the Galatasaray game because I thought we were playing with the high centre backs, but then if you look at the average positions in that game, they're quite back. But I think that's more due to Galatasaray. They really dominated, didn't they, that match? Is that right, guys? Did you see it like that? Do you think it was because I said we went to Galatasaray and we played the high line, you know, the inverted fullbacks. But if you look at the average positions there, they're not that high. Can you see?
I just think we're outclassed.
Yeah, it probably is that. Like against the Man City one, like we said earlier.
Which game are you referring to?
Galatasaray.
Galatasaray again. The manager just got all sorts of wrong. You don't go to. As I keep saying, we all looked at the 8 games we've got in Europe, and we all said toughest game out of that lot is Galatasaray away. And yet he goes there, plays 2 attacking midfielders, a high line, inverted fullbacks, makes 7 changes, and you're just thinking to yourself, what are you doing? As I said, so far in Europe, he's not impressed me. He's beaten 3 very weak teams, 2 just scraped through. And for me, I didn't think we were good against Roma, and we got schooled against Galatasaray. So far, the 2 decent teams he's played in Europe, he's failed against.
Yes.
For me.
Yeah, for me as well. He's failed. He's failed massively. That Galatasaray game really got to me, that did. How he just turned up with that kind of attitude. Then again, he didn't change much until the second half and just let it all happen. We could have got slaughtered in that match. Do you remember the shots we conceded in that game? Was it like 28? Something like that? Absolutely.
28,
yeah. We made them look like world beaters, Galatasaray. We really did. And for that still bugs me today. Look, let's just run through these games again. Galatasaray was, we did not do well in that match. Look at us. We were completely dominated. If you look at the attacking momentum from Galatasaray. Man City at home. I mean, look, we didn't have a lot of attacking momentum in that game because we just sat and played on the counter and took our chances. That worked really well for us, and I wish Ange could do that more often. Aston Villa, quite a dominating performance as well, especially that second half. Palace, a little bit kind of equal there, guys. What do you think of that Palace match? I know we just really didn't turn up that day, but quite even on the attacking momentum.
Yeah, I think this was just a poor performance all round, wasn't it? If we're going to be honest, I think the whole Palace game we never really got going. Another game where I thought he made diabolical substitutions. You know, he went to 4-4-2, put two big men up front, and then didn't instruct the team to cross the ball. Didn't lump it forward when we had 10 minutes to go to find a goal. Still kept passing it from the goalkeeper out to the centre halves. It was just a bad day, a terrible day at the office.
Nigel, any more comments on those games there?
No, completely agree with Savva. Yeah, the Crystal Palace game was just one of those games we didn't turn up. And that was really frustrating in the last 10 minutes, you know, seeing Romero just stick his foot on the ball and you're just thinking, just lump it forward, do something different. And that was the game when Van der Ven made the mistake, wasn't it, at the back? And they scored. We were trying to play it out from the back. Another game when you just think, sometimes just hit it long. If you're in trouble, just hit it long.
It's another game where another manager has out-tacticked Ange, isn't it? Glasner. He put in a game plan that match and we didn't have an answer.
But again, it's another team where if you look at, I'll tell you what, how many times this year have we played against teams that play three at the back? Right? And have we won any of them? I'm just asking, I don't know the answer, but I know that Crystal Palace played three at the back, couldn't break them down. Roma, three at the back. Roma looked very comfortable against us. Who else played three at the back? Somebody at Ipswich played three big centre halves and two wing backs. And again, you know, I just find it's just, listen, is Ange the worst manager in the world? No. Is he the most stubborn, rigid manager in the world? Possibly. But I can't speak for other teams' managers. But as a Spurs fan, nothing about him screams, yeah. Like when Harry was in charge at Spurs, when Harry Redknapp was in charge at Spurs, guys, I felt connected.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know about you. I felt connected. I felt that Harry got it. I felt that Harry put players in their position. You know, he wheeled and dealed in the market, didn't spend a lot of money. If you look at what Harry spent, he bought in senior pros very cheap. Yeah. Got the best out of them. He had two holding midfielders. He had wingers that attacked on the outside, fullbacks that defended.
Imagine if we had a Harry now, Savva. Imagine if we had a Harry type manager now.
As I said, I don't think our squad is as bad as the results we're seeing. I genuinely don't.
I agree.
I think Harry Redknapp, that sort of manager, again, that was exciting football. That was exciting football. It wasn't always the get it to the byline, pull it back. Harry, for me, I identified with him. I identified with that. Martin Jol, the head coach. I identified with him. Ange, for me.
Pochettino.
I mean, Pochettino, yeah, you identified with Poch. Listen, I'm not saying any of these guys got it over the line, but for me, if you actually look at those three, they're a really good case in point. All three of them took us at different stages and moved the baton on. Martin Jol took over a very average crap. Let's be fair. Martin Jol took over a really crap team, right? And started getting us into that fourth, fifth, sixth conversation. And I think it was only before Lasagna Gate, right, that we didn't get fourth that year.
That's right.
Right? Well, he went. Then when Redknapp picked us up, Redknapp took us on leaps and bounds. He took over a team that were bottom of the table. In 18 months, he took us from bottom of the table to Champions League football, putting everybody in their position, playing really entertaining football. I don't remember anybody during the Redknapp era discussing Redknapp the way we discuss Ange, because Redknapp didn't do all these silly things. These silly things that impress people, I think it's just everyone wants to be a hipster, don't they? Everyone's I like it because he inverts. And Harry just did the simple things. Harry did the simple things and did it very, very well. And then you look at Poch. Poch took us from a team that were a little bit broken at the time, got us into the Champions League, kept us in the Champions League for all those years. And all of those managers did the simple thing. They kept it simple. They didn't waffle in press conferences. They didn't come out with nonsense like, I don't want to be pragmatic and it's who we are. And that's how, that's who we are, mate. And they didn't do that. This manager, none of his press conferences make me go, yeah, you're switched on. It's all mind games with the press. He's not actually telling me anything as a fan to make me fall in love with him. And like Jacob in the chat, big up, Jacob and I are friends, by the way, but I will call this out. Saying I love Ange press conferences. The guy chats so much shit. I'll ask you two on the chat. Do you ever watch an Ange press conference, come away and go, yes, Ange?
Well, I'm sick of listening to him now.
Agreed.
I'm just sick of listening to him. It's just excuses. Get the wins, Ange. Get us some momentum. Get some consistency. See, if he starts doing that, then I can, not get total on board, but at least respect it. If I can see Ange adjusted in games like against Fulham, like if you look at the Roma game, we're 2-1 up late on. Shut up shop, Ange. Get the 3 points. Yeah, things like that. Basic management things. If I can see things like that, then I may change my mind. But as it stands, we're failing. The system is failing. It's too inconsistent.
But I mean, the Brighton game for me summed up everything. The Brighton game summed up everything. Ange, we've gone from 2-0 up. You've gone to 2-1 immediately after the first half. Doesn't change anything. You've gone to 2-2 5 minutes later. Doesn't change anything. You go down 3-2. Doesn't change anything. And people are going, yeah, he's a good manager. He's tactically clued up. What? He did nothing. And then guys, he has the barefaced cheek afterwards to say, I didn't think the subs would have made a difference, and talking about undeserved points. Dude, that's your job, is to get us points from when we're not playing well. That is your job. That is your job, Ange.
Do you think you don't trust the players, Savva? Because I know we have 5-7 subs or whatever we can make, but we only seem to bring on the same 2 or 3 every game. So do you think he doesn't trust the players he's got on the bench?
Possibly, but can I fire it back at you, Nige?
Yeah.
I'm going to anyway, right? Yeah. Do you think the players trust him?
No, not anymore.
Would you want to play this style week in, week out?
I think if I'm a winger, I'm loving it. But any other position, no.
If you're a Dogie and Porro, and you're Romero and Van der Ven, are you looking at this going, yeah, this manager's going to take this? This is the style, or are you thinking, fucking hell, I've got loads of work to do again? Like, do you know what I mean?
Well, even if you're Basuma or Bentancur, constantly having to put out fires all over the pitch because people are out of position.
Yep.
Good point. Yeah. Good point, Nige. Yeah, it is. Look, guys, let's just read out a couple of messages, because on this channel, anybody can say anything, their opinion on Ange, the team. So look, let's just read them out and just discuss. So let's start off with Draven. Draven is, Draven is a regular to the show. He watches every week. Big up Draven. He's very behind Ange still. But again, he is fully aware that Ange does need to improve. But he's at the where, what's the point of sacking another manager? So that's kind of his stance on it. So let's read out what he says. I'm expecting miracles for Ange. I hope he will bring the chance to prove you wrong about him. When he gets the tools, maybe he'll bring us some success. At the moment, the team is weak. So he's then kind of referring it to the transfer window and the squad, I think.
Sure. But with the players he's got, you can plug the gaps. With the players he's got, the transfer window doesn't dictate to him that he has to have these god-awful inverted fullbacks during in a system, right?
Yeah.
And the thing is, could you bring that comment up one more time?
Of course.
And big up to Draven. And by the way, it's just a football opinion. There's no hate. I love the picture. It's creepy as hell, but I love it. Said, are we expecting miracles? What? I'm expecting miracles, what, to beat the likes of Fulham and Ipswich and Palace? No, I'm not asking for miracles. You know, when he gets the tools, my question to anyone that says when he gets the tools, can anyone please give me evidence of Ange in his previous life having the tools at this level of football and being a success? He's had the tools at Celtic, right? Us three could go and be joint managers and win the league with Celtic, right? I'm not knocking it, but as I said, Brendan Rodgers is doing what Ange did at Celtic. And Brendan Rodgers, do you remember? Like, I remember in our Nige, do you remember in our group? Because Pete actually said, didn't he? Like, I'd take Rodgers, he's decent. And the whole of the fan base going, oh, Brendan Rodgers, he's shit. No, Brendan Rodgers. But what does Ange do that Brendan Rodgers doesn't? Like what is it that he does? What's he doing? Like, I don't know what he does that makes all these people say, I trust him, I love him. What? Sorry, Draven, we disagree. When you're saying at the moment the team is weak, Draven, what I'd love to know is all the people now saying the team is weak and hasn't got his players. No, everyone was telling me off for saying this in the summer. Everyone was having a pop at me for saying crap transfer window. We need senior pros. Oh no, he's got really good players. This player's great. This player gets into that team. This player you can't upgrade on. Now all of a sudden, it's the players aren't good enough. But when we beat Man City 4-0, the players were good enough. I don't know.
I'll tell you,
Too many excuses.
I'll tell you how bad the window was. That I wanted Højbjerg and Skip gone, but as soon as they're gone, I'd love to have them back now. That's how bad our window was.
Yeah, shocking window. One of the worst for years.
And again, Dan, let me ask this question. How many fans, right? How many fans all window? Oh, but he's got rid of Deadwood. He's got rid of Deadwood. Yeah, we did brilliantly getting rid of the Deadwood. Did we? Did we do brilliantly getting rid of the Deadwood? Because now I'm hearing it's players that aren't good enough and they're Deadwood still. So I'm so confused with I'm really confused. It just feels like there's too many excuses every time this manager fails. One win in 5 games. One win in 5 games is that's where we're at with Bournemouth and Chelsea to come. What if we lose the next 2?
Yeah, let's read up Jacob's comment. Pick up Jacob. Difference of opinions. I think it's our failures in the final third where our league position is what it is. Interesting perspective. What do you think?
It's not when we're saying it's not a difference of opinions, Jacob, surely you watched the games. You watched Fulham and saw how they destroyed us in behind the fullbacks because they were playing central midfield. Surely we see that is a massive issue at Tottenham Hotspur. Every team can say, yeah, we need to score more goals. Every team. But we've got the opportunity to tighten it up at the back, and he doesn't. Look, Jacob and I are mates, but we very much disagree on Ange. For me, Ange just says he's the hipster's choice. Yeah. Ange has done nothing in the world of football and is loved, and I don't know why. I just don't get it.
Yeah, look, if Jacob's about, he can jump on if he wants. I haven't got his number, but if Savva, you can ask him if he wants, if he's still around. It'll be good. Look, okay, let's move on to the next forthcoming games now. Let's take this off the screen. Look, let's look ahead. We got a big game on Thursday away to Bournemouth. Look, for me, I just don't know where we're going to get that next win. Don't know where it's coming. I just can't see it at the moment. It's just, I mean, they're tough games. Bournemouth, they've put some good results at home this season. They've beaten City, they've beaten Arsenal. They're Areola, I really respect him as a manager. He's doing really well with them with such a tight budget as well. He's getting them playing. They've got that player. Was it Semedo? Is he a striker? I think he's just played really well this season, and a lot of people's fantasy team. Is he a winger? Is he Savva?
Yeah, he's a winger.
He's a winger. Yeah, I just see him always scoring, assisting. So it's going to be a real tough game. What is Nigel? What's your thoughts on the Bournemouth game?
I don't fancy us at all. But A, because we're away from home. B, Bournemouth really good at home. Well, they've lost a few at home, but they're good under the lights. They've already beaten City and Arsenal at home. I just think it's a really tough game. It wouldn't surprise me if we lost. It wouldn't surprise me if we won. But if you're gonna, ask me outright, I would say I'm expecting us to lose. I want us to win, of course, but I think it's gonna be a tough game.
And Savva, how do you think Ange is going to set up for that game?
Exactly the same as he does every other game. He does. There's no this manager he's got no different way of playing. Look, I think, as I said to you, I think we're going to win one of the two games because it's what we do. We kind of, we pull out a draw, we pull out a game and then we lose, or we win this game and then we lose. And look, if we're as good as everyone says we are, we go and get 6 points from the next two games. If we're as good as everyone says we are, right? I don't know. I don't think we are. Listen, I'm at the stage where I'd take a point against Bournemouth. That's where we're at. I'm at the stage where I'd take a point against Bournemouth because I just think they're going to want it more. They're going to overpower us. I don't know. Look, I've got the last 4 games wrong. Whether I said we'd win or lose the game, I've got it wrong. I genuinely don't know, guys. I genuinely don't know what Tottenham are anymore. I don't know. This manager, again, people love him. He's made me feel so disconnected from what are we as a football club. I don't know.
That's the thing, though, isn't it? You wouldn't be surprised as a Spurs fan if we won our next 2, but you wouldn't be surprised if we lost our next 2. You just don't know what Spurs are going to turn up.
I have no confidence of winning either games. Zero confidence. I'm sorry. It's getting worse. It really is. Unless Ange adjusts and changes that up like he did against City, it's going to be very hard for us to get anything with those inverted fullbacks, with all that space left in behind. It's scary, honestly. It's scary against both teams.
But I agree with Nige. It's the sort of thing why, it's the sort of thing where you go, Spurs one today, you go, yeah, I can see that. Someone goes, Spurs lost today. Yeah, I can see that as well. Like, I genuinely don't know. We're not in any sort of winning form, losing form. We've got no consistency. I don't know what to predict anymore for Tottenham games. My heart says we should be beating Bournemouth. My head says, I said that against Fulham, Ipswich, Leicester, Palace. I don't know. But again, I'll ask you this question. If he doesn't win either of these two games and we are 1 win from 7, again, what is then the new excuse going to be from everybody?
Well, the new excuse will be, Savva will be that Bournemouth are a good team. And, we ain't got any God-given rights to beat Bournemouth away, especially when they beat the likes of Arsenal and City. That's what it will be, Savva. Sorry, I can see it coming.
Well, let's have a look as well. I'll tell you what makes this really interesting. If you look at, let's look at the Premier League, right? If we look at the Chelsea.
Should I get the table up, Nige?
So Chelsea have got Southampton and then us, right? They're 5 points clear of us, Chelsea. And I was told all summer that Chelsea are crap and we're much better than them. If we don't win either of our next 2 games, right, we could be 11 points behind Chelsea after 15 games.
Which that after this week to Thursday, Savva, did you say?
Oh no, by Sunday.
By Sunday, okay.
Right. Listen, we could be above them if they lose both and we win both. But if we don't win either of the games and Chelsea beat Southampton tomorrow, I think Chelsea are playing Southampton tomorrow.
Sure will.
Here we go, Chelsea. Yeah, Chelsea are playing Southampton on the 4th tomorrow. If they beat Southampton and then come to the lane and beat us, they could be 11 points clear of Tottenham after 15 games in the Premier League. And I was told that Maresca's crap, Chelsea are crap. We've got better players. We've got a better manager. And,
So
I just want to see the excuses. We could be 9 points off of top 4 by Sunday night. And I think if we get 9 to 10 points off of top 4, I then think Levy starts talking about pulling the trigger because that's his Champions League money.
Yeah. Okay. Look, let's just have a look a bit about Bournemouth. It's just have you been? Has any of you guys been watching Bournemouth this season? Have you watched any of their last few games? How have they been playing? Anyone know?
Very
I've got
nice
their
football.
results.
They lost, didn't they, against Brighton at home? I think that was it. Their last game.
No, so
Yeah.
Bournemouth beat Wolverhampton at the weekend
Right.
away from
Game
home
before that.
4-2. Before that, you're right. They did go to Bournemouth. No, they lost at home to Brighton, which Brighton are a good
Yeah.
team. You know, it can
Yeah.
happen. That's not. I don't know how the game went, but there you go. Then they went to Brentford and lost before that, and then the game before that, and this was at the 2nd of November, they beat Man City at home. And the final game I'm going to discuss is they drew to Villa away. So look, mixed bag of results there, but it does show you on their day, Bournemouth, they can win. They can win, and I think they can beat us if we don't set up right and we don't have the right attitude, and the players aren't up for it. It could be a long old evening.
I just don't know. I don't know. Listen, I'm not even predicting us to lose. I don't know anymore. I don't, guys. I don't. I said, like, it's funny because I've got Roma. I said we'd win 3-1. Fulham. I said we'd win 3-1, and Ipswich. I said we'd win 4-0. We didn't win any of those games. Man City. I said we'd lose. We won. Like I genuinely don't know what to predict for Tottenham anymore. We could go to Bournemouth and win 3-0. Right? We could go to Bournemouth and lose 3-0. But for me, if he loses both Bournemouth, I don't think we will. But if he loses both Bournemouth and Chelsea, he's got to go. Surely. He's got to go if we lose both those games. That would be 7 defeats in 15 league games.
Or do you think he's going to wait for that cup match, Savva, against Man U?
I mean, he might do, but we know Levy. We know Levy, right? Levy always sacks managers when we're miles off a top 4 because that's his Champions League money. I'm not saying we are. Yeah. We could win the next 2. We win the next 2. We're sitting comfortably in the top 4 and I can start going, okay, bit more consistency. But I just have no, I don't know. I just don't know what we are. For 18 months into his tenure, I don't know what we are as a team. Can anyone define us in a positive manner of what we are as a team? I'll ask everyone in your chat.
Yeah, ask everyone in the chat, anybody who can come up with something to help us, because I like yourself, Savva. I want him gone. The sooner the better, to be honest. We just need a sensible manager to come in who can set this team up better. A sensible manager. Look, even if we do get a sensible manager in, it doesn't mean we're going to win the league or even win a cup. But what it will give you some defensive stability, give us more chance to win games, get us up that league, and make some progression. Simple for me. But look, we'll see what happens. So look, like yourself, Savva, predictions, I've given up predicting. I don't want to predict anymore. I gave that up a few weeks ago because you just can't. You can't with this team at the moment. So look, just quick predictions on that game, both of you. Bournemouth.
Do predictions. Quick prediction, guys.
No, predictions. Do a prediction. But let's just do it anyway, just for the hell of it. Go on, guys. Predictions for that.
1-1.
1-1.
I'm not doing it. I don't know. I'm not doing it. I don't know. I genuinely don't know, and I don't know. I don't know what to say.
Say we lose, and we might win.
Yeah. I listen. I just want. I want a sensible manager. I feel like this experiment. I feel like Spurs are in a social experiment. That's what I feel we are at the moment. I feel like Ange hasn't got Spurs' best interests at heart, but his own social experiment of this is how I play. I just don't know what the score is going to be. I don't know. I don't know. If I sit here and say Spurs will win, probably won't. If I sit here and say Spurs will lose, people will make videos about me when we win. Like I don't know what to say about this club anymore. I don't. And that's why I said,
Savva, look, in a footballing perspective, is there any way that we can beat Bournemouth? Let's look at it like that.
Of course. We could go there and win 3-0. We could also go there and lose 3-0, Dan. This is the problem with Tottenham.
Yeah.
I've just literally predicted 3 home wins. And in those 3 home wins where we haven't won one of them, I predicted 10 goals for and 2 against. and we didn't win one of them. How can you not win a single game amongst Fulham, Ipswich, and Roma, who are awful at home? When? Like,
This
how
is
are
it.
we?
Yeah.
It beggars belief. And then people go, yeah, he's a good manager. Is he? Is he? I don't know. We'll see.
Well, but Nige, in a footballing perspective, how can we beat Bournemouth? Take
Um,
aside all the inconsistencies and unpredictabilities. What do you think? Is there any way that we can do it?
hopefully, absolutely. I mean, yeah, we can beat them if we didn't play such a high line. Maybe if we didn't invert the fullbacks. Maybe if we only inverted one fullback. I think Bournemouth are more than beatable. Of course, we're Tottenham, but just the way we're playing, you just don't know.
Romero's back.
Yeah,
Solanke might be back. Is that
yeah,
going
I'd
to
expect all them to be
change
back, and
anything to the
Is
team?
I'd
Romero
expect
back tomorrow? Is Romero back?
Oh, I've heard he is, but it's not guaranteed. We'll
I
find out, won't we?
hang on. Leicester City are 2-0 up against West Ham. Let's talk about their manager. That's
Yeah,
a manager
terrible.
who's surely going to be getting the tic-tac in the next few days.
What do you think of that manager, Savva? I never heard what your thoughts on that, Lopetegui.
I never understood it. I think West Ham had a good window, brought in some good footballers, and they look awful. I didn't think he did a good job at Wolves. I don't know where he's really done a good job. Listen, I think the West Ham fans are going to get him out. He's going to be out, isn't he? They're not going to settle for this. They're not going to settle for it. But with Romero back, guys, is that even a plus at this stage? I mean, our issue hasn't been at centre half in the last 3 or 4 games, is it?
No, it hasn't. And I wouldn't.
No.
I wouldn't drop the centre backs as how they are right now, because I think they've been okay. I think they're not been the reason why we've been not getting results. It's been the system. It's the system.
Yeah,
for me, I think.
Yeah.
and that's not changing.
Okay. Look, let's move on to the Chelsea match. I mean, this could be a dreadful day, honestly. I mean, our history of playing Chelsea in the Premier League, full stop, is not the best at times. We're coming up against the Chelsea team now. We're coming into a bit of form, getting a bit of consistency themselves. They're a bit quiet. You're not hearing a lot of noise from the Chelsea fans, and they're picking up results. Savva, what's your thoughts on Chelsea right now?
Well, if we go back to the first 10 games of last season where Chelsea were diabolical and Tottenham were brilliant, let's have a look at the 2 clubs' fortunes since then. Do you know the point swing is nearly 21 points? I think it's 20 or 21 points in the last calendar year. Chelsea have got more than us. And what I like about Chelsea, and I know we're not meant to like, I don't mean them as a club. What I like about their manager and their style of play, said this on my show earlier. Chelsea, again, the manager's not trying to reinvent the wheel, right? He's got fullbacks that actually play at fullback and overlap the wingers. He's got wingers that stay out wide and beat a man. He's got a playmaker playing in playmaker. He's got 2 holding midfielders. They're different holding midfielders, but he's got Enzo Fernandez and Caicedo, one who gets on the ball more in terms of Enzo, Caicedo who does more of the hard work, and they've got Nicholas Jackson, a guy that stays up front. Again, sensible, simplistic tactics. Everybody in the right position. Do the right thing. And by the way, have you seen how young Chelsea's team is?
Yeah.
Right? People talk about our team being young. They've got so many players 23 and under in their starting 11. That is a manager I look at and I go, I like what you're doing. He's not trying to overcomplicate things. And for me, that's the difference between him and Ange. Ange wants to play square pegs in round holes. Maresca's playing square pegs in square holes, right? And they look solid for it, right? They look solid for it. The proof's in the pudding. The proof of the pudding is in the eating, right? Look, everyone said, "Oh, they're a mess. This manager's coming." They've lost 2 games all season, if I'm not wrong. Hang on, let me just double check.
Yeah.
Chelsea have lost 2 games all season, and that was to Man City on the first day of the season and Liverpool. So in 13 games, no one's been able to beat them apart from the best 2 clubs in the country, right? I just think he's getting it right. I think he's getting it right. And I worry about playing them. I really worry about playing them because Cole Palmer, if ever you don't want a team to play against Spurs right now and the inverted fullbacks, surely it's Pedro Neto and Jadon Sancho being fed in by Cole Palmer. Surely that is just the worst nightmare to play against these tactics. But who knows? Does the Spurs that battered Man City turn up? Does the Spurs that lost to Ipswich? I don't know, mate. I just don't know. It's who we are. It's who we are.
Let's look at Chelsea's recent results. I mean, going back to the 10th of November, they drew against Arsenal. They went to Leicester and won. They've also thrashed Aston Villa at home. They're in some form right now. They're not losing.
They're getting better as the
side.
season goes on.
Yeah, they're a good side. I mean, I've got a good friend who actually works for Chelsea, and I like to rib him a bit, and I've been ribbing him for the last couple of years because they haven't been the best. But he spoke to me like last week, and he's usually quite coy with what's going on at Chelsea, but he was very much like, something's happening here. He goes, this is the best I've seen it for years. And, he was there when Mourinho was there. So, yeah, when he says that, you start to think, okay, Chelsea might be onto something now. And our form against Chelsea is shocking.
But again, we couldn't be surprised that we could win, isn't it, Savva? Like you said, you think we're going to get one win out of these two?
I think we'll win one of them. I think more likely is that we beat Bournemouth. But listen, we might get 6 points. So we're all sitting here scratching our heads going, I just don't understand Spurs. But Chelsea, for me, have, again, I can't keep saying it. They are, it should have been 3-0. Leicester should have been 3-0. They're just getting it right. And I'm not saying they're going to win a league title, right? I don't think they're anywhere near that yet. But what they've done is they've brought in players that want to play now. If you look at it now, they've got young players in that want to play, that are working hard. Players that were absolutely berated by fans are playing brilliantly. Cucurella looks brilliant at left back, right? Did last season as well, by the way, under Poch.
You think Pochettino kind of made the stepping stones? You know what I mean?
Yep.
He built the stepping stones last season, and now the new manager's come in and he's kind of pushing them along even more.
Sure, because Pochettino actually, in the last 28 games of last season, only Arsenal and Man City took more points than Chelsea. Chelsea took more points in 28 games. So in the last 7 months of the season, Chelsea took more points than Liverpool. Right? And everyone was going, they're crap. No, Chelsea had a terrible start. And Chelsea, at some games last season, had 15 to 16 first-team injuries. So when we're going, oh, my God, Vicario and Van de Ven and Romero are out. All right, cool. Well, them over there, they've got 16 first-team injuries out, and they're going like that. For a year, they've been on this upward trajectory. So I think they're a decent team, but I wouldn't put my money on it. I wouldn't put my money on us winning or losing it.
Oh, guys, look, can we read Lena's comment? And then I think, Savva, you said you got a jump, haven't you? Is that right?
Yeah,
Savva?
Sorry. West Ham have just scored, I think. Yeah, sorry, yes. All
right, let's read Lena's out. Maresca plays entertaining football, yet you've never once heard him speak about his style of play, only about bringing in Chelsea back to where they belong. That's the kind of manager I would listen to. Yeah, very sensible comments.
Hang on.
Look,
is anyone talking about Enzo Maresca this year in press conferences?
No.
Is Enzo Maresca on TalkSport being talked about on TalkSport every week? Fans phoning in saying how much they hate his style of play. Fans phoning up, sticking up for him. Fans talking about his press conferences. Nope, under the radar. And what are they? Joint second? I know joint second doesn't exist. What are they? They're level on points with Arsenal.
Yeah. Look, I don't like all this Chelsea loving, but look, as football conversation goes, you can't you can't look away from it. And we're playing them at the weekend, and it's going to be a massive test for us, really massive test against Ange's chaotic football. Ange's chaotic football can get you results, but can also you could also lose. So it's going to be an interesting matchup. Is our chaos going to cause Chelsea enough problems? I mean, Chelsea's defence are not perfect, but look, they're doing well, and for me, I think Chelsea will have enough to beat us. They've just got more quality in all areas of the pitch. Forward line, they can bring off 3 forwards, bring another top quality on. And look, and we can't deny that the investment in Chelsea is just on another level to us. I mean, we would love to have that level of investment, but it is what it is.
It is. But the funny thing is, Dan, if you actually look at it, let's have a look at the players that they've bought. Yes, they've had to pay a lot for them, but none of the players they've bought here were worldies when they went and got them. You know, back in the day when they went and bought a Ballack.
Yeah, it's different now, isn't it? Slightly different. Yeah.
Let's have a look at their last team lineup, right? Let's have a look at Chelsea's last game when they beat Villa 3-0, right? So they bought Cucurella, people were saying was crap. Colwell's come through the youth team. Fofana was from Leicester, right? Lavia, a youngster from Southampton who had barely any games underneath him. Fernandez was 20, 21 when they signed him. Caicedo had like 1 or 2 years at Brighton. Neto from Wolves. Palmer wasn't getting a game at Man City. Sancho, who's been in and out for the last 3 or 4 years. Everyone's told me Nicholas Jackson's crap. There's no one there they've bought that's a world beater. Now, Palmer, for example, could go on to be, but no one there. It's not like back in the day, right? Where we go, oh, Chelsea have
signed the stars, the world-class players, you know, to keep their title push going. It's different.
You look at it. See, they buy people like Cole Palmer. We buy people like Odegaard.
Yeah.
No offense to Odegaard, but there's huge differences in terms of the caliber of player they go for at that age as well. They went for a really hyped up, talked about youngster that wasn't getting game time. We went for Odegaard, who was playing for Burnley, hardly doing anything. And we've now gone, oh, yeah, he'll do. So, look, it is what it is. I've talked loads, so apologies. Spurs frustrate me.
Oh, dear. Look. I don't know what to say. It's quite exhausting, isn't it, going through this as a Spurs fan? It really is. It's draining at times. And big up to everybody, yourself, Savva, Nige, other YouTubers, everybody in the chat. Like, keep talking about it because it is very draining and it's exhausting being a Spurs fans. All we want is success. We want to win something. It's been far too long. And there's just so many question marks about this season. What's going to happen? Well, look, we're still in the cup competitions. Do I have any confidence that we'll win one of those cups? No, I don't. Not with this chaotic football from Ange. Not with Ange not adjusting in games week to week. I just can't see how it happens. The only way it will happen is by fluke. Fluke.
Can I ask you a
we're just
question?
not stable enough.
Can I ask you guys a question? I know we keep trying to end the show. If right now Maresca knocks on your door, let's just say Spurs are happy to pay 50 million. You're a player. I don't know. You're a winger. You're a centre mid, fullback, whatever. Ange knocks on your door. Maresca knocks on your door. Both clubs are going to pay the same salary. Where are you going?
Head Chelsea. Heart Tottenham. But yeah, probably Chelsea.
But I would look at it and go, yeah, they look like a team. They don't look like they're all over the shop. I'm not saying Chelsea are unbeatable, but they've only lost 2 games. But I'd look at that and go, yeah, I like what he's doing there. I'd look at Spurs. If I'm a defender, I'm going, not a chance. No, sorry, do you want to come and play on my team? No, mate, because the goal, no, mate, you're going to make me look terrible. If I'm a winger, sorry, you don't want me to beat my man. You want me to cut in? No, you're all right. Sorry, I'm a playmaker, but you want me to drop into midfield and do all the doggy work and tackle back? No, you're all right. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I'm a striker. I want you to do all the work outside the box, not too much inside the box.
Absolutely, Nige. You know, I'm a goalkeeper. Yeah, I don't want you to don't save the ball. I want you to just come out and play like your Beckenbauer with your feet. I don't know. Maybe I'm too harsh on Spurs, but the years have caught up with me of defending, trying to defend absolute rubbish. If I'm honest.
Okay, what do we think is going to happen on Sunday? I know it's hard again, and we're in the same problem with predicting. And look, is there any Savva, Nige, people in the chat? I know I've seen some predictions in there ready for this game, but is there any chance that we can beat them? I know, of course, there's a chance, but I'm not confident at all. I'm being straight with everyone. I don't think we can beat them. I don't think they will thrash us. I think it'll be a tight match, an open match, but I just can't see how we can beat them right now, unless we just have one of those off games, which is just like against City, where we just surprise us. I don't know.
Currently, I think we'd need to be at our best. Chelsea would have to be slightly off it.
Yeah,
But
fair
that could
point,
happen.
Nige.
That could happen.
Yeah, yeah. Look, this is a game we could win 4-1 like we do against the likes of Villa and West Ham, or it could be a 2-0. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. I'm genuine at the stage, Dan, where I don't want to be predicting Tottenham scores because I've got no idea. I've got no idea what Tottenham is going to turn up. We could win both. We could lose both. We could draw both. I've got no confidence that we're going to win both. That doesn't mean I don't think we can. I don't know. I don't know. Is the excuse on Sunday going to be, but we played Thursday night? I mean, do you know what I mean? Everyone in the Premier League at the moment is playing 7, 8, 9 games in December. So everyone's got to deal with it.
Oh,
I've got
dear,
nothing
Savva.
else to say tonight on Spurs.
No, look, last thing we'll say, just have a bit of a laugh here. Come on, let's lighten the mood up a bit. What's the best excuse you've heard so far, Savva, since the weekend of why Spurs are, inconsistent? What's the best?
How long you got? I don't know. I've heard every excuse, Dan.
The one that sticks to your mind, Savva. One that sticks to your mind that you're thinking, oh my days. Okay.
Oh, I mean, is that these players don't deserve Ange?
These players don't deserve Ange. Wow, cool. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's like Ange is some mythical. Like I don't know. These players don't deserve Ange.
Oh dear, Nige.
I haven't heard too many, to be honest. Probably injuries. That's usually the first thing that people say, isn't it? We've got lots of players out injured, so that's okay because we've not got a squad.
Lena makes a good point. This is the thing, and I was having this debate you saw on We Are Tottenham TV earlier.
This one here.
Yeah, it was. Oh, it's only because of our injuries. We were literally the same inconsistent team with our first 11 out as we are without them. It's we heard this excuse all last season. Do you remember? Van der Ven, Romero, and Maddison are all out injured. When they came back, nothing changed. When they came back, it was just as bad. But anyway,
I heard that, Nige.
That's me. I need to go in a minute, guys.
Look,
That's
yeah,
me.
let's shut the show down. Look, Savva, thank you so much for coming on. It's the first time on the show Beyond the Lane. Hope you'll come back again in the new year. Big up to everybody in the chat. I have to say a massive thank you for everybody who's subscribed, liked. Please go over to Nige as well and do the same. That would be much appreciated. Please go and subscribe to Savva as well if you haven't. And look, guys, there'll be another game coming in a couple of days. Who knows what's going to happen? Nobody knows. But look, we'll be back to discuss it all. So look, big thank you to everybody who's watched tonight. And look, final, come on, you Spurs. Take care, everyone. Good night.
Cheers.